Hi everyone, we're on the second half of our notes for 6.9, which is our sideways parabolas. These are problems number 3 and number 4, where the directions are completing the square to write each equation into vertex form. So right now, a way you could think of this is that they're now in somewhat of a standard form for a sideways parabola. Standard form for our regular parabolas are ax squared plus bx plus c, that equals 0, or sometimes in our equation it equals our other variable, which is y. So now remember, these up and down parabolas and these side to side parabolas are basically opposites of each other. So now with that same train of thought here, we're going to have a y squared plus by plus c equaling our x variable. Moral of the story is, when we complete the square, we want to get the squared term and the y raised to the first term on the same side all by itself. And then we're going to do our blanks and so on and so forth. So what our strategy first off is going to be is I want to get this y squared onto this side and the 13 over to this side, because then I can successfully complete the square. So if I add y squared, I have y squared plus 2y on the left, and if I subtract a 13, I have 4x and a negative 13 on the left. I hope that made sense. All I did was added y squared, so it's now a positive y squared, and I subtracted 13, so now it's a negative 13. So now I'm ready to complete the square right here, because I have the y squared and the y by itself term on the right side with nothing else. So now I'm going to have that y squared plus 2y plus a blank. That equals 4x plus 13 plus a blank. So now we're going to complete the square the same way we're used to. We're going to take b divided by 2 and square it to get that blank. So 2 divided by 2 is 1. 1 squared is 1. If I add 1 to the right, I have to add 1 to the left. So now I have 4x minus 12. That equals y plus 1, that quantity squared. This trinomial right here factored down into y plus 1 times y plus 1, or y plus 1 quantity squared. I'm now going to add 12 here to get 4x equals y plus 1 quantity squared plus 12. And lastly, I have to get x all by itself, so I have to divide here by 4. Divide these by 4. Now this is one term right here, and here's another term. So both of these have to be divided by 4. So my coefficient in front of the binomial is 1. So it's going to be x all by itself now on the left. That equals this 1/4 times the quantity x, y plus 1 quantity squared. And then I'm going to have this 12/4, which is a positive 3. So here we are now in vertex form. And from this vertex form, I can draw a lot of conclusions. First conclusion I can make is the vertex is at HK, which is 3, negative 1. There's my vertex. It is at 3, negative 1. Secondly, my axis of symmetry is y equals the y coordinate, which is y equals a negative 1. My direction is that it opens up to the right. And why does it open up to the right? Because my a value is a positive number. My a value is a positive 1/4. All right, moving on to the next one. Problem number 4. So on this one, I already have my y squared that's positive over here. So I might as well get my 4y and move that onto the left. If I do that, I have y squared minus 4y plus a blank. That equals, if I move this x over here, I would have a negative x minus 1 off to the right. So let's just slow down and make sure everyone knows exactly what I did here. I moved this 4y to the left, and so that's where I got this 4y, negative 4y, and I moved this x to the right to give me this negative x right here. So now I'm ready to complete the square. I have to take this b and divide it by 2 and square it. So negative 4 divided by 2 is a negative 2. A negative 2 squared is a positive 4. So if I add 4 here, I have to add 4 right here. Moving onward, on the left I now have a binomial squared. It's y minus 2 times y minus 2, or y minus 2 quantity squared. On the right side, I have a negative x with a positive 3. So now, class, our brain is kind of used to seeing this binomial squared on the left. So I'm just going to rewrite this, putting this on the left side and this on the right side. So negative x plus 3 is going to go on the left, and the binomial y minus 2 quantity squared goes on the right. So the only thing that changed from this line to this line was that I moved this over here and this over here. So don't be alarmed if that looks completely different. And now, I'm going to move this up here so I have more room. I'm going to subtract this 3. So I have a negative x. That equals the quantity y minus 2 quantity squared minus 3. Now I'm not quite in vertex form yet because I have to get x all by itself. And right now x has a negative 1 with it. So I got to divide both sides by a negative 1. Now remember, here is one term and here is another term. So I got to make sure I divide both of those terms by a negative 1. So right now my coefficient in front of my binomial is a positive 1. So what is a positive 1 divided by a negative 1? A negative 1. So x is all by itself on the left now. That equals a negative 1 times the quantity y minus 2 quantity squared. And then a negative 3 divided by a negative 1 is a positive 3. So in vertex form, x equals a negative 1 times the quantity y minus 2 quantity squared plus 3. From this, my vertex is at hk, 3, positive 2. My axis of symmetry is the y equals the y coordinate of y equals 2. And lastly, what's my direction of opening? My direction is going to be left. Why is it going to be left? Because my a value is a negative 1. If it's less than 0, meaning if it's negative, it opens up to the left. So your assignment for today, class, is going to be worksheet 6.9, and then it's also objective 84. On our worksheet, there's going to be one especially that is difficult when you have an a value of a negative 1/4. So if you need any help graphing that one, I can certainly help you, but I want you to try it to get it on your own too, because that's very good practice. Those are good skills to work on. Other than that, the worksheet is pretty much very similar to the notes. Let me know if you have any questions.